If she can read you, she will control you. If she can't, she'll chase you. Remember that, because obsession is never born in comfort. It's born in confusion. Imagine this. You walk into a room. She sees you. She smiles. You smile back, but only briefly. You say, less. You reveal nothing. You vanish. First, she doesn't know why, but now she can't stop thinking about you. She checks her phone. She replays the last conversation. She wonders if you're with someone else. She wonders if she imagined the tension. What just happened? You gave her the one thing every woman craves more than love, more than attention, more than gifts or promises. Emotional mystery. And that mystery is your weapon. Niccolo Machiavelli, the mind behind the prince, understood something most men still fail to grasp. People don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what they almost understand. What keeps slipping out of reach like smoke. This video isn't about pickup lines. It isn't about being a nice guy or a villain. About power, psychological power, the kind of power that makes her heart race and her mind spiral without you lifting a finger. We're gonna break down Machiavelli's darkest insights, rewire how you think about attraction, and reveal how to become the man she can't stop thinking about even when she wants to. But be warned, once you learn this, there's no going back, because you won't just attract women, you'll haunt them. 1. Turn emotional chaos into craving. The secret of strategic inconsistency. If Machiavelli lived today, he wouldn't be writing about kings. He'd be writing about your ability to rule minds. And no, mind is more powerful or more dangerous than a woman who's emotionally invested. But here's the thing. Obsession does not grow in comfort. It grows in chaos. Emotional inconsistency, when used strategically, creates the exact type of craving that turns interest into fixation. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding one of the deepest psychological truths Machiavelli lived by. Men desire novelty and are drawn more to uncertainty than to perfection. And the same is true for women. If she always knows how you feel, if she always knows when you'll call, if she always knows where she stands, then she never thinks about you. She never dreams, analyzes, obsesses, because there's no tension. Tension is where obsession is born. Let's get surgical. With this, the human brain is wired to chase patterns that don't resolve. That's why gambling is addictive. That's why people can't stop checking their phones. It's the dopamine loop, a neurological trick that activates when reward is uncertain, not when it's guaranteed. Now, apply that to emotion. Most men give women emotional certainty too early. They confess feelings. They validate. They accommodate. They respond instantly. They try to reassure her into love. But Machiavelli would shake his head, because he knew certainty kills desire. You want her obsessed. Then you have to break the pattern. You create moments of emotional high, deep connection, warmth, desire, and then you pull away. Not cruelly, strategically. You become inconsistent by design. And what does her nervous system do? Tries to restore the connection. It analyzes everything. It begins the loop. Did I lose him? What changed? What did I say? That's obsession. And it's not accidental. It's psychological warfare. But there's a difference between chaotic men and strategically inconsistent men. The chaotic man is reactive. His inconsistency is messy, emotional, unstable. It scares women. It drains them. They eventually leave to preserve their sanity. The Machiavellian man is intentional. He knows when to pull back, how much to give. He controls the rhythm of emotional engagement the way a conductor controls a symphony. He becomes the source of emotional highs and the creator of emotional absence. And that makes him unforgettable. Here's how you apply this. When things get too smooth, introduce subtle unpredictability. Cancel plans for a personal reason. Delay your text. Be warm one night, distant the next, not with attitude but with energy. Don't answer every question. Let her wonder what you're thinking. Mystery equals mental investment. When she pulls back, don't chase. Let the silence stretch. Her mind will fill the gaps. That's where desire simmers. Now this must be paired with real value. If you offer nothing but unpredictability, you'll be discarded as a narcissist. You must also create emotional spikes, moments of deep connection, of you see me intimacy. That's what makes the withdrawal sting. That's what makes her chase. And don't ever explain yourself. The moment you reveal the strategy, it dies. Machiavelli said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." In modern terms, you owe her nothing but experience, not explanation, not justification, just emotional gravity that she can't look away from. Strategic inconsistency isn't about being cold. It's about being unresolved. When she can't complete you, she will keep trying. And that effort becomes addiction. You're not aiming for affection. You're creating fixation. You're making her feel more alive around you than she does anywhere else. That's what Machiavelli would do if he had an Instagram account and a locked phone, full of women wondering where he went. To be her addiction, not her comfort. The power of withholding certainty. Obsession doesn't come from peace. It comes from imbalance, from a craving that never fully gets fed. Comfort is what women say they want, but addiction, obsession, that comes from something else entirely. Comes from a man who knows the art of withholding just enough to make her mind spiral. And Machiavelli would understand this completely. He knew that people cling to the things they almost possess. That power lies not in fulfilling someone's needs completely, but in controlling their access to it. This is how kings ruled, not by satisfying the people, but by keeping them hoping, expecting, waiting, because hope is far more binding than certainty. So, let's put this in modern terms. Most men want to make her feel safe. They want to prove they're not like the others. They open up too soon. They confess too early. They try to buy love with transparency. But when a woman feels fully safe, when there's no edge, no mystery, no question, she doesn't lean in. She relaxes. She detaches. She moves on. Because emotional comfort may feel good, but emotional suspense is unforgettable. Think of your favorite film. Did you love it because it gave you everything immediately? You loved it because you didn't know what was coming. You were pulled along by suspense. The tension kept you hooked. Every scene mattered. Now imagine being that to a woman. You're not a rom-com. You're a psychological thriller. You don't flood her with answers. You leave open questions. You give her just enough affection to feel close, but never so much that she feels in control. That tension, it becomes her obsession. Here's the psychology behind it. When someone's brain doesn't get closure, it creates loops. She replays conversations, analyzes your tone, obsessively reads between the lines. This happens automatically. The brain needs certainty. And when you withhold it, you become her riddle, her emotional Rubik's Cube. Now be clear. This is not manipulation for the sake of ego. This is power used with precision. You don't destroy her self-esteem. You don't gaslight or humiliate. What you do is master the balance between intimacy and distance. You make her feel seen, truly seen, at moments she doesn't expect. You give her presence, attention, charm, and then you take space, silence, solitude. You never let her fully wrap her arms around you, not emotionally, not psychologically. At that space, it's the addiction. Because women don't obsess over what's there. They obsess over what's missing. A man who is always present becomes invisible. A man who is almost present becomes unforgettable. Machiavelli wrote, "A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme." And in today's world, the men who are supreme in women's minds aren't the ones who are always available. They're the ones who left a mark and walked away. The ones who touched her deeply and vanished. The ones who haunted her mind, not her schedule. This isn't ghosting. It's intelligent withholding. You offer depth, but in limited doses. You share truth, but never all of it. You stay emotionally open, but never fully unlocked. And what happens? She invests. She tries harder. She texts more. She dreams more. And she never quite figures out why she can't stop thinking about you. Because you've become her unsolved equation, her tension, her craving. Not by being perfect, not by being always available, but by withholding certainty. So how do you wield this power? Never explain your emotional shifts. Let her feel them. Don't narrate them. Give her emotional highs, but make them earned, not expected. Be consistent in your integrity, but inconsistent in your access. Most importantly, never give her the full picture of your mind. A man who withholds certainty does not become cold. He becomes compelling. He doesn't offer chaos. He offers emotional suspense. And women will always chase the story that isn't finished. So stop trying to be her comfort, her therapist, her nice guy savior. Be her addiction. Be her mystery. Be her Machiavellian obsession. Because comfort fades, but obsession burns. 3. Starve her certainty. Feed her fantasy. The illusion of emotional access. A woman doesn't obsess over what she knows. She obsesses over what she thinks she knows. And the key to that illusion, Machiavelli never told rulers to be honest. He told them to appear honest. He never said to be generous just to appear generous. Because reality is weak. Perception is power. And if you want to make a woman obsess over you, you must understand you. Don't need to give her your emotions. You only need to make her believe she's close to them. That's the difference between love and addiction. Love is mutual, safe, predictable. But addiction is driven by uncertainty and fantasy. You feed her illusion, not deception, but design. She feels like she's uncovering your soul. She thinks she's earned your vulnerability, that she's the only one who gets you. But here's the secret. She's not getting the whole you. She's getting what you allowed her to find. That's how you feed fantasy. You give her half the puzzle and let her imagine the rest. You offer flashes of intimacy, rare, authentic, and carefully timed. You give emotional tension, but never emotional conclusion. She becomes addicted not to you, but to the quest for more of you. This is the art of emotional illusion. It's the same method used by cult leaders, master seducers, and charismatic manipulators. They don't overload people with truth. They offer fragments just enough to trigger imagination, and that imagination becomes the trap. Here's why it works so well. The female brain is wired for emotional pattern seeking. She will create connections where there are none. She will read between your silences. She will invent meaning where you left ambiguity. If you say little, she hears everything. If you give little, she feels more, because she's filling the emotional gaps with her own narrative. And that narrative, that's what she falls in love with. But here's what separates a Machiavellian man from a reckless one. You never lie. You never Promise. You never lead her into false hope. You simply never clarify. You leave space. You stay composed. You let her make her own assumptions. And you never correct them. This allows her obsession to build organically, which is far more powerful than manipulation. Because now her own mind is doing the work for you. Her dreams, her stories, her projections, they become the fuel. Want to see this in action? Think of the man who disappears for 2 days, not with an excuse, but with silence, no explanation, no drama. And when he returns, he's calm, charming, confident. She doesn't attack him. She questions herself. Did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? Is this my fault? Now, she's hooked. Not because he chased her, but because she started chasing meaning. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. And that is your advantage. You are not offering your full self. You are offering a carefully constructed appearance, an emotional mystery wrapped in calm power, a riddle she can never fully solve. And when she thinks she's close to solving it, you shift. You evolve. You stay one step ahead. Because obsession dies the moment certainty is born. So how do you apply this? Never define the relationship. Let her wonder. Let her ask. Let her try to figure you. Avoid emotional repetition. Don't always text good morning. Don't always respond with, I miss you. Let your tone change. Let her feel the storm behind the silence. Show emotion rarely, but deeply. When you open up, make it real, but make it scarce. That makes it valuable. And above all, protect your emotional core. She can have your touch, your attention, even your voice, but your mind that stays behind the curtain. Because once she thinks she's close, but never fully there, she'll keep coming back. She'll keep reaching. She'll keep obsessing. Not because you gave her everything, but because you gave her just enough to believe everything was there. That's not love. That's emotional dominance. And Machiavelli wouldn't just approve, he'd applaud. You've just been handed what most men will never understand. Not charm, not seduction. Power. The power to shape perception, to control the emotional weather in her mind without ever raising your voice, to make her feel you more when you're gone than when you're next to her. That's not manipulation. That's strategy. And in a world where everyone's trying to be liked, the man who's feared, desired, and never fully understood wins. So now the question is, will you forget this and fall back into emotional obedience? Or will you use it if you're ready to master the darker side of psychology, power, and persuasion? Subscribe, because this isn't just a channel. It's a battlefield, and I'll make sure you never walk into it unarmed. Again, comment below. She won't see me coming if you're done being predictable.